In 2014, I had come off a season of farming for myself. I had raised 1,300 broilers, a whole bunch of herbs, a little bit of vegetables. I had started my own farm. I had a CSA. We were going into the second year of the CSA. I was going to process USDA. I moved on to a new farm, and I made one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made. It was quite costly financially. It was very stressful, not only for myself, but the people who are working for me. And the whole purpose of this video today is to make sure that you don't make that one same mistake. It's very easy to do. It's an easy trap to fall into, especially when you're beginning a farm or a business or any operation. And I want to make sure that you don't fall in the same trap. This is another video in the Fix My Farm series. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started. So I just come off the 2013 season. It was crazy. I didn't have the best numbers in the world, but I had some numbers from my first year farming. I did some tracking. I had counted all of my profits, and I had known roughly what I produced that year, but it wasn't completely detailed. But I have a better idea of what I was capable of than I did the year before. So going into the 2014 season, I was now not working just for myself. I was a hired farm manager working for another group of people that I later became partners with. But this year, the year that we're talking about, 2014, I was not a partner, I was a hired hand. And as a hired hand, I was given some goals to accomplish on farm. And one of those goals was to gross $100,000. Now, grossing a certain amount of money is kind of a foolish thing. Like you can set a goal of grossing. It doesn't matter what the number is, but there are going to be certain costs, and you can gross $100,000 and have only $50,000 worth of expenses and have 50 grand in profits, or you can gross 100 grand and have $200,000 in costs, and that way you've lost 100 grand. It can go either way, but shooting for a gross number without really knowing what your net is a very dangerous trap to fall into, and that's the whole takeaway from this video. Is that when you're doing your spreadsheets, you're doing your budgets, and you don't know what you're doing, even if you do know what you're doing, you can make a spreadsheet look like whatever you want it to look like. It can look bad, it can look good, you can kind of fudge a number here, you can make a mistake that will throw the whole thing off. At the end of the day, it's just a bunch of ones and zeros. It has to represent a thing that actually happens in the real world. And if it doesn't, if it's inaccurate, you can end up setting yourself up for failure before you even begin. So at the beginning of the year, I was given some unrealistic goals. I thought I could meet them. I then just made decision after decision that led us down a path to wasting a whole bunch of money. I was supposed to gross X amount of dollars, and I said, all right, so if I raised this many chickens that made this much money, and I could expect this much money out of the other operations, I can gross this amount, and with this amount of staff, I can run the whole farm. And I didn't have enough experience. I didn't have the guts to say, no, this is impossible. I just went ahead and did it. And by the end of the year, it wasted a ton of money. So what happened in 2014? 2013, I raised 1,300 broilers. 2014, I not only doubled that to raise 2,400 broilers, that's 2,400 broilers, but I also then had grown a flock of 400 egg-laying hens. I had some sheep, I believe, at the time that came in that year. Yeah, I had about half a dozen sheep. I had an acre and a half of hops or an acre and a half of apples, both of which I was inexperienced with, and I had a steep learning curve. I had an orchard that was planted kind of improperly, so it was just kind of set up for failure from the beginning. And in this hop yard, same thing. A lot of mistakes were made by people who didn't know what they were doing either, but we had read a bunch of books and we thought, hey, let's give it a try. So now I have 3 acres of perennial crops to take care of, 2,400 broilers, 400 egg-laying hens, a couple sheep, and a new property with new infrastructure, new systems, and then new employees. I also hired a couple people that year. So all these things were new, and I grew too big, too fast, and that was too much. It almost crushed me. There was a lot of times where I just spent, like breathing heavy on my kitchen floor in a ball just because, man, it was so difficult. And that too big, too fast, or taking on too much is a common trap for beginning farmers, because you think, oh, this is great, and I know how to do that kind of, and I know how to do that, but this one kind of makes money, so I'm going to go there, and you kind of get all over the place, and it could be just with the crops that you pick for your vegetables. It could be the different operations like I fell into, but not having the experience and taking the time to either grow slow or learn from somebody else who are doing it, I took on a model and tried to produce a model that really hadn't been done before, that I had seen, and I had no experience in some of these things, and I made some promises that I couldn't keep, and at the end of the day, it was super duper stressful. So grew the farm too big, too fast, lost a bunch of money, and by the end of the year, lost some of my employees, either because they were seasonal and they left, found opportunities in other areas, or had just been burnt out by the decisions I had made, or the life on farm, or the stress, inter-employee stress, because I didn't have good systems set up, and they weren't refined through years of growing it slowly and making the trial and error myself and with a smaller crew. That there was some infighting that happened, and I've taken a lot of that responsibility myself, because had I managed things a little bit better, had I had things more well defined, it may not have happened that way. And I regret to lose some of those people, and some of those people, man, I'm really happy that I don't have to see them ever again. So yeah, 2014 was a really interesting time. I'm going to lay all this out in more detail with some photographs and numbers on my blog on farmmarketingsolutions.com/blog, or you can go to fixmy.farm for the summary for all of these videos going, all the blog posts, videos, all that stuff. So my big takeaway for 2014 is that you can make a spreadsheet say anything. You can sit there with your seed packet and say, I'm going to grow 90 different crops, or I'm going to have this operation, this operation, this operation, this operation. This is how they're going to interplay. And until you have actually done it, if you tried it on a smaller scale and scaled up in a more sustainable way, it can go really wrong. I thought because I raised 1,300 broilers and really only sold 1,000 of them because I lost a bunch being a newbie, and I had higher losses in my fields that year, I thought I could double that and sell all those birds because I was the only one raising pasture-raised chicken in this area. But the demand wasn't always there. We had down weeks on the farmer's market, and then I had inventory build up. I had to buy more freezers to put birds in, and just wasted money every time I turned around. And that's demeaning for me as the manager, for the staff to watch that happen, and then the rest of the farm people operating with me, seeing that the farm, is struggling a little bit due to my management. Not that it is all on me, but because I don't want to point any fingers, I'm going to take it all on for the purpose of this video. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So when you're planning your farm, grow slow. Have the experience. Spend several years apprenticing on another farm. Start your operation super, super small, and let demand drive your growth, not your growth drive demand. You want to not pull, or you want to not push products onto your market. You want your market to pull products from you. And as you see more demand, you can grow, and that gives you the strength and the knowledge and the experience and the confidence to grow your business over time. And instead of saying, like, if I grow this, people are going to buy it. Well, you want the people to buy it first, and then you want to grow it. And that's a better way to grow your business. It's a lesson I had to learn the hard way. In 2014 was one of those hard years where I was at a scale where I couldn't push stuff out the door quick enough. I then had to either sit on it, or things got wasted, or there's just waste across the board, whether it was employee time, product, stuff going wrong on farm, stuff getting mismanaged or misused, and all in all, really tough year. I mean, again, we got a lot of stuff done. It was awesome. There's a good side. I'm focusing on all the negative for this video because I want to make sure that this lesson comes through to you guys. But at the end of the day, at the numbers at the end of the year, we lost a whole bunch of money just because of the things that, just the way everything kind of fell forward. So yeah, take your time, grow your markets smartly, grow your business smartly. You're not only learning how to grow food when you're starting a farm, but you're learning how to grow a business as well. And the business part that is harder than growing the food. It takes some art, some skills, knowledge, experience to be able to grow a tomato, a chicken, a cow, some honey. Those things are all arts and require masters in their trade. But the other balance is that you have to grow a business, you have to know the numbers, you have to have documentation, and then if you grow to the point where you're taking on more people, or if you want a day off, which is great, you're going to have to also have management skills as well and be able to delegate, set things up so they're easy for people to follow. Whew. So, like I said before, all of this is going to be detailed out more on my blog. If you're watching this movie in the series, or this video in the series, it's actually coming out a few days late because I got just hammered on farm this week. Fell behind a little bit on farm marketing solutions. Farms always comes first. So I'm getting this out just a few days late because I want to make sure that it's out there. This one I wanted to take my time with, really think through, because this lesson was a hard lesson to learn, and it's something that has shaped my entire life going forward on how I manage my household income, how I manage my farm and my business, how I manage farm marketing solutions and the investments that I make in FMS. All of that comes down to not making foolish spreadsheet calculations just because it's wishful thinking, not making poor management decisions or decisions that'll make me stressed out, or they're going to stress out the people around me. You got to try to keep things balanced, and that can be very difficult to do. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you stop by the blog and check out more information, photos, and stuff from that year, whatever I happen to put up on the blog post. And until next time, I will see you out in the field.